Welcome. Today we're going to become fluent with our minor chords. What does it mean to be fluent? It means we want to understand this topic and not just memorize the easiest or fastest aspect of it. Today we're going to be going through 3 different ways to better understand our minor chords. That way we create a web of interconnection that helps us both recall what we know and also learn it in a few different ways, as everyone's going to have the methods that work best for them to be able to recall long term. Today we'll be going over our minor pentascale to build out the sound of the minor chord, creating a shortcut to be able to easily find our minor chords using our pre-existing knowledge of major chords, and then finally going through and spelling out the chords in as many different ways as we can, so that way we can have a better mental image of stacking the thirds that create our minor chord. Let's begin. We'll start with sounding out our minor chords. These are going to use a different scale pattern, seeing as now we have our minor third on the bottom of our minor chord and a major third on the bottom. So now we'll start with our root. To get our minor third, we need a whole step and a half step. Root, whole, half. And from C to E flat, we have our minor third. Now from our minor third, we go up, whole, whole, as we're building a major third, 2 whole steps. From E flat, whole, whole, up to G. We now put all 3 together, and we have our C minor chord with this darker, almost rainy day type of sound. Let's do 2 more examples. We will do our E. We'll take our root, whole, half. Minor third, whole, whole, our major third. Minor third, major third. We also still have our root to perfect fifth. We have the third in the middle. We'll do one on the black keys now. Let's take our A flat. A flat is our new root. Root, whole, half, minor third, whole, whole, major third, and we get our A flat minor chord. Now let's go on to our shortcut, as there is a way to speed this process up, assuming we already know all of our major chords. We probably have noticed, especially on C major, that when we take a C major chord, we have our C, E, G. If we lower just the third by a half step, from E to E flat, we go from C major to C minor. And this is true for any of the minor chords. So we'll do a short demonstration going around the circle of fifths from major to minor. Fifth to G. Fifth to D. Fifth to A. Fifth to E. Fifth to B. Fifth to F sharp. Fifth to C sharp. Fifth to A flat. Fifth to E flat. to the B flat. Fifth to the F. And finally, our fifth to the C. Now here we'll go through our chord speller, making sure we understand how these chords would be spelled to better understand the stacking thirds of each triad chord. So we'll start off with our C minor. We can be confident that our C major is everything natural. So we use our shortcut. We take the third down a half step to E flat, making sure not to spell this as a D sharp because we need to honor the thirds, C, E, G, as every C triad chord is C, E, G. Now we'll go and we'll hear this chord. Sounds like a minor chord. Now let's bring this down by a half step. C now goes down to C flat. So this is going to be our C flat minor chord. G must also go down by a half step. So our G going down to G flat. And now our E flat would need to be lowered by a half step. We cannot call this tone D, it must be called E. This is where we see our next accidental, our double flat. A little easier to remember than double sharps, as it does just look like two flat signs occupying the same line, and it simply is just a half step lower than a flat. This way we now have our C, E, G, C flat, E double flat, G flat. And we can hear both of these have the quality of being a minor chord. Now we'll go up to C sharp minor. C goes a half step up to C sharp. Our G, we need to go up a half step to the G sharp. And our E flat does go up to an E natural in this case. And there we would have our C sharp minor. C sharp, E natural, G sharp. Let's go on and we'll do E as well today. From our E major, we would know that we'd want to have E, G sharp, B. To make this into minor, we use our shortcut, dropping it down by a half step on the third, G sharp, down to G natural. We get the color of their minor chord. Now we'll go down a half step, and here's a bit of a shortcut. If E minor is everything natural, then we can believe that E flat minor should be everything flat. Hey, and it is. Fun shortcut. We can use the same thing over here. E sharp minor must also be everything sharp. E sharp, G sharp, C sharp. A fun little shortcut. Once we find out one way that minor chord is built on that letter, in this case E minor, everything natural, we can apply that logic of everything blank with the other accidental that we want to deal with. Now that we better understand the differences between our major and minor chords, both in how they're spelled, but more importantly, how we can hear the difference between both of them, we should have a lot of confidence being able to call upon these major and minor chords from our music, our lead sheets, chord charts, as not just major and minor chords make up a majority of our classical music, they also make up a majority of our modern popular music as well, and give us a great head start into whatever we're pursuing. Happy practicing.